Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, January 24th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and back with us is Mikey on the show today, helping us out. He'll be with us also on Sunday and Monday, so you're going to get Mikey here 3 days in the 3 of the next 4 shows. So looking forward to having him back in the house with us. We've got this Friday NHL card to talk about today, 4 games on tap. But first, before we get into the Thursday recap, we obviously can't say enough as far as thanks and gratitude to all our Patreon members at patreon.com/iceguys. And as you guys know, we have a betcast coming up on Tuesday, January the 28th, live at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And it is a Patreon exclusive live betcast. We've already had one of them already this month, and we will have another Patreon exclusive live betcast coming your way this Tuesday, January 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Now, as you know, the usual price to sign up as a Patreon member is $10 per month, but we are giving all of our viewers and listeners of the show a little discount opportunity to become a Patreon member just for the next 5 days until we get to Tuesday night with the Betcast. And there you see it on the screen right now. We've got our live Betcast exclusive to Patreon members this Tuesday. And right now, from this point until midnight on Wednesday, which will probably be at the tail end of our live betcast on the Tuesday night, once we hit midnight on Wednesday. But from now until midnight Wednesday, 50% off Patreon membership for anybody that wants to sign up on the Patreon page. So basically $10 per month down to $5 per month is what it is. So 50% off your Patreon membership, and you can get that discount by signing up right now between now and midnight on Wednesday at patreon.com/iceguys using the promo code that you see on the screen, BETCAST50, BETCAST50, all one word. So again, take advantage of this. We want as many signups as we can get. We're giving you a little bit of a discount to get you in the front door. This is available now through to Wednesday at midnight, which is, again, right when we'll probably be wrapping up the Betcast. So again, take advantage of this, 50% off your Patreon membership with this discount now through Wednesday at midnight, patreon.com/iceguys, and use the promo code BETCAST50.
Yeah, we're excited to offer this to you guys. Like I said, we want to have everybody take advantage of, like I said, getting the card daily. I will have the goalie charts updated this weekend. I will also have an article posted this weekend as well, so you'll get to see the full spectrum of what we have to offer here at the Patreon page. For those of you who you've heard us talk about it day in, day out on the show, and maybe you haven't checked it out before, now's the time to definitely check out. Take advantage of this deal. This is a wonderful offer, and like I said, limited time only.
Take advantage of this, and again, it's your chance to also get in now and be with us Tuesday night. Of course, for our next Patreon exclusive live betcast. So make sure you get in on that. Again, the promo code BETCAST50. All right, let's talk Thursday night. NHL was a big slate, as it always is on Thursdays. We saw Carolina and Columbus in a absolute goal fest down there in Raleigh last night. Columbus pouncing early with a 2-0 lead on Carolina, cashing the first period over. That's now 6 straight head-to-head matchups that have gone over in the first period between Columbus and Carolina. This was the first game that had gone over the full game in Carolina in, I believe, 7, meetings down there in Carolina. It's been a weird series history, Jackets Hurricanes, where every full game had stayed under in Carolina until last night, and every full game had gone over in Columbus between the two teams. But we finally saw an over last night in Carolina for the full game. Carolina roared back with just an onslaught in the second period. They scored 5 goals between the 2:48 mark and the 11:34 mark of the second period. Jarvis, Robinson, Jackson Blake, Sebastian Aho, Jordan Martinook, 5 different goal scorers as well for Carolina in that second period. Just when it looks like they're home and cool, Columbus strikes for 2. One of them was a horrible goal by Freddie Anderson. And by the way, Freddie Anderson has not looked good in 2 starts since coming back from injury. Not even a little bit. And this is concerning right now. what we're seeing from him. And Carolina, again, how much confidence do they have in Kochetkov? Because there's still some internal debate that they're not sure he's ready for a long playoff stretch as a number one goalie. But I don't know how you give it to Freddie right now based on the last 2 games we've seen out of him. So what do? Do you have to upgrade? Do you have to look at maybe upgrading goaltending, at the trade deadline? That's going to be the question mark here, because obviously there's some concerns about what we've seen returning from injury. Now, do I leave the door open that maybe it's rusty? For him coming back from a long absence, maybe he can improve and get better. Sure, it's possible. But I also know this is a guy that's been played with one injury after another, that is now not getting any younger. His mobility in the net was horrific last night. He looked like an old man, an old fart in the senior home, trying to get out of his bed early in the morning there with trying to move post to post. It looked like, geez, he was like he shit his pants or something. He could barely move in there. I mean, my goodness, it didn't look good, and it's got to be concerning right now. Now, Carolina bailed him out because it was an offensive onslaught for them last night. But like I said, there are concerns with Freddie Anderson, but they do get the win 7-4. It was a rough period for Tarasov and the Jackets, and that pretty much did them in that one. Ottawa, back-to-back shutout losses. Credit to the Boston Bruins. Tough spot, back-to-back, obviously, after getting thumped in New Jersey, and they bounce back strong. They get a 2-0 shutout win over the Ottawa Senators. And like I said, that's now back-to-back shutout losses for the Ottawa Senators. And that puts them tomorrow, and we'll get into this more on Saturday. They play Toronto. It's another Battle of Ontario rendition tomorrow night. That puts them in the back-to-back shutout losses system play, which has been not just good, it's been no sweat with first period over and full game over for teams that have had consecutive shutout losses this season. So we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow on the Saturday show. But a nice win for Boston, 2-0 there. They get the victory over the Ottawa Senators. Detroit Red Wings, I definitely thought it was a good spot for them. I did still take Montreal simply because, look, I've been riding them, but I did warn you, I didn't love the spot. I thought Detroit would come out with a good game, and they did. No Kane, no problem. No Patrick Kane. They still win 4-2. Last night, and thank goodness we snagged that 5.5 on the show with the total at DraftKings because it was, if you had 6 instead of the 5.5, that's a horrible push because that was 4-2, midway through the second period, and there was no goals after that. You didn't even get an empty net goal, to help your cause late. So thankfully we had the 5.5, so the best bet hits. We had the first period over as well. Detroit gets a nice 4-2 win there. Great win for the Rangers. They spanked the Flyers 6-1. Flyers get the opening goal early, and then Rangers pretty much the rest of the way. 6 different goal scorers for them. Braden Schneider, Adam Edstrom, Keandre Miller, Philip Hedl, Adam Fox, Riley Smith. I mean, that's what you like to see. And certainly the Rangers, like I said, that light at the end of the tunnel is getting brighter. Because they are starting to really, pick themselves up off that horrific run that they had, and they get a nice 6-1 win against the Flyers. Vegas, after a disappointing home loss to the Blues, they return the favor, and they beat St. Louis 4-2 last night. Very solid effort, both ends of the ice for Vegas last night. It was the response that I think Bruce Cassidy was looking for. They outshot the Blues 31-17. They're now 5-0 in their last 5 visits to St. Louis, so they play well there. Something to keep in mind for the future. 4-2 win there for Vegas in that one. Utah shuts out Minnesota 4-0. The classic situation strikes again. NHL and NBA. It's crazy how often it happens. You get a top player back or top players back, and you're unable to get the job done. And it almost like it throws things off. And Utah gets a nice 4-0 win there over the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota's in the system play in their next game. Dustin Wolf, man, Buffalo played well, even though they lost 5-2 last night. That was the Dustin Wolf show. He was just terrific again. Almost 40 shots for Buffalo, but all that matters is Calgary winning. They were more opportunistic. They had a big third period. Jacob Pelletier had a hell of a game for them. Not only the goal that gave Calgary the lead early in the third, he was hitting everything in sight. He was active. He was in on the forecheck. They've been waiting on Jacob Pelletier to show that, and he is starting to do that for Calgary. But a nice win for them, 5-2. Edmonton just crushes Vancouver 6-2. We kind of figured it was a good Edmonton spot. That was a good game for me. Swept the board. Over by Fecta. Edmonton team total. Edmonton in regulation. So great result there. Edmonton with a 6-2 win over Vancouver. Payback for losing in Vancouver 3-2 over the weekend. I told you, don't trust the Pittsburgh Penguins. Don't you dare do it, to win back-to-back games. I don't care who they're playing. I didn't have the guts to take Anaheim, but credit to those who did. 5-1 win for the Ducks last night. You just cannot, under any circumstances, guys. We've seen it enough now. You can't bet Pittsburgh after they win. When they're feeling good and they play well the previous game, you cannot trust that team, period. And they showed it again last night. What a friggin' schizophrenic bunch. I'm telling you, right? They couldn't play a great LA team who's barely lost at home this year, thump them 5-1, come back here tonight or last night against Anaheim, and you lose 5-1. That's typical Pittsburgh. It's what we've seen from them all year. Capitals just keep on rolling. 3-0 win over Seattle, and no fluke. They were the better team. They dominated that hockey game. Could have been worse if not for Joey Decord. 3-0 Capitals. Unfortunately, the first period over falls short. I did jump in on a live second period over, though, and was rewarded with that. Capitals with a 3-0. And Chris Otto, too. He was all over that. He jumped in on I think a Capitals team total in the second period over and the live full game team total over 2.5, and he won both of them with Washington, saying, hey, it's only a matter of time before they score. They're dominating this game, and they ended up getting the 3-0 win. And last but not least, just a crazy shit show game in San Jose. It was nuts. 6-5 Nashville, back and forth. Unfortunately, we thought Askarov would be dialed in. He was not. That being said, this team let him down big time defensively. They were horrible in their own end in front of Askarov. There was a goal or two maybe he could have stopped. You would want him to save, but at the end of the day, it was more about how bad San Jose was defensively, and you can't be in the penalty box all night as well. They ended up taking way too many penalties, so it was a bad night for them defensively, but all of a sudden in these two games against San Jose, what's happened to Nashville's goaltending? Sorrow struggled in the game in Nashville, and then last night it was Justus Onanen, who, as I said, when he plays like that, I call him useless Onanen. He was just not very good for the Nashville Predators last night, but thankfully bailed out by 6 goals and a red-hot, piping-hot Philip Forsberg. Man, he is just on an absolute tear right now, and a big reason why Nashville, it's kind of like a fool's gold win streak, though. Yeah, they're on this win streak now, the best win streak they've had all year, but they got to clean some shit up defensively, Nashville. You're not going to – it's one thing to be able to survive playing like that against San Jose, but, you're going to have to fix some things if you're going to win games moving forward and keep this win streak going. You're going to have to fix some things defensively. Offensively, there's nothing to fix. They're feeling it right now. Stamkos is on a heater. Marchessault's starting to feel it. Forsberg right now has been terrific. So, but the defense now is kind of regressed, and going to have to tidy that up moving forward. Alex, thoughts on a massive Thursday?
As interested as I am in today's card, tomorrow's card is going to be really interesting because of a lot of spots that we saw last night, like you mentioned. Looking at and talk about the late slate alone with San Jose and Nashville. We said off air, it's a shame that we know San Jose is not making the playoffs. More likely, Nashville not making it either. This would have been a great playoff series to have these two teams going back and forth. But like you said, now we get to look at carryover is important now in this time of year, where we say, all right, teams can kind of just brush shit aside in the first 2 months of the season. Now we start to see things that are patterns that will carry over into the next game. How a team looks at the end of a second or third period one night could easily carry over into the first or second. We've seen a lot of patterns of that. And so that's really the kind of thing that I did mostly last night, was just kind of marking off who's playing next. Obviously, you mentioned all of the shutouts, so we've got a lot of system plays that'll be coming up tomorrow or Sunday, but just seeing a lot of, like I said, just sloppy play, and a lot of teams that had off nights. Montreal, for example, I've been singing the praises of Montreal all week. I took the shot with them to make the playoffs yesterday, plus 375, thinking that they could go through. And like I said, this is going to be a rough road for them the next 6 games. It wasn't a bad contest. Detroit just came and outplayed them the way that they were supposed to. That's the way Detroit was supposed to play at home against the division foe, trying to claw their way into that playoff race, be part of that playoff conversation, beat a team that's hot right now in Montreal, and that's what Detroit did. So kudos to them for getting a big win there. But that's not to say that Montreal all of a sudden, now they're going to fall off a cliff and lose 4 or 5. So there's some teams that, like I said, they're still just kind of riding the momentum, riding the wave, and we just got to try and find those spots. So it wasn't the best betting night for me. There was a couple of games that I thought were going to go into overtime. We had that 1-0 forever, it seemed like, with Boston and Ottawa, and then you get the late goal with seconds left, and it's a 2-0 winner. So we're still getting some tough breaks on a couple of other games, but now, like I said, just kind of just stringing together all the information we're processing and putting things together.
The Eastern Conference wild card is nuts. We've got 6
Yeah.
teams separated by 3 points for 2 spots right now. Tampa Bay and Columbus hold the spots. But the Rangers and Sens are 1 point behind both of them, as is Montreal. And the Flyers are 3 points behind both of them. So it is a jumbled Eastern Conference wild card race right now, to say the least. Mikey, your thoughts on last night? And I know you're Bruins. Happy to see them get the job done.
Yeah, it didn't look easy, but thankfully they got the job done. One thing I want to talk about is late movement towards certain teams. So I just don't get what was up with the Ottawa line yesterday. I mean, it jumped significantly late in the afternoon. They're up to minus 165 on the road in Boston, which is a rarity. You'll never see a road team that favored in Boston. Pittsburgh, same thing. Heavy money came in late in the afternoon, and both of these teams lost. And I feel like I've seen it more often than not. You're seeing all this money come pouring in late in the afternoon on certain teams, and they're just not getting the job done. So I don't know. Like, I see it with Nashville all the time, but maybe it's just the heavy sharp bettors thinking Nashville is better than they are. But something I've noticed, a lot of money coming in on these certain teams, and they're just not getting the job done.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. And like I said, we'll have to see how. And we've got some teams on back-to-backs tonight, and especially Philadelphia in our first game that have terrible records, on a back-to-back. And we will see if they can maybe change things a little. Alex, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say it's an interesting point though to mention about because we always talk about this. Obviously, it's a conversation that's week to week in the NFL and college football. Where's the money, right? And we don't really talk about that as often in hockey. But that's something to keep an eye on, and there's no pattern really with how money comes. Obviously, you have the pattern of when limits open up. So you have overnights, you have your morning when everything's open, and then of course you have like I said, your late money that's coming in during the day. Right before for a puck drop for certain games, mostly for the 7 o'clock Eastern hour. But you don't really have necessarily just anything where it's just indicating, oh, this is sharp money or it's just public money. Based on any time frame. So that's something to maybe start keeping an eye on, though, Mikey. Like you say, if you're noticing that, start seeing a pattern. Maybe that may not be sharp money. That's probably just late public money that's coming in. Think about it. It's the average person getting off of work at 4:30, 5 o'clock, placing their bets. And it's just a crush of that, not necessarily that it's a $20,000 or $10,000 bet that's moving that. So it's a good conversation to have and something to keep note of. Like I said, we don't talk about it and look at it as often as in other sports, but it is something worth noting.
Yeah, no doubt. It's always good to know where the line is moving in football or basketball, where the money's moving in hockey or baseball, the money line sports, but it never dictates your decision making.
Right.
It's good to know it, but it never dictates.
I think it's the least important. It's the least important factor when using it in any of the 4 sports. It's way more important, I think, in basketball than anything else, and then football. That's just me personally. The baseball, I can't speak on because I don't bet baseball, but hockey, it's the least important, but it's still something to note. And I think it probably maybe becomes more prevalent late in the season and into the playoffs.
I would agree with that. All right, we got 4 games. Again, this feels like Wednesday repeated all over again. There's nothing I love tonight, but there's a couple bets we like. And we'll begin with the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Islanders. We've got the Islanders minus 150, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. Obviously, we've got the Islanders. They've won 2 in a row. We'll give them credit for that, but they beat San Jose and Columbus. How much do you want to get excited about that? But you got to start somewhere. They are actually 5-2 in their last 7, because if you go back further, they had those 2 home losses to Ottawa and Philly, but they also ended up sweeping a road trip at Boston, Vegas, and Utah. So it's been, I guess a better run for them, but can they keep it going here tonight? The good news here for the Islanders is they've been off since Monday night, that game against Columbus. So they've had 3 days off. Philadelphia is here on a back-to-back, obviously. 6-1 loss last night to the New York Rangers. They scored the first goal, but that was all she wrote for the Flyers. Were blanked after that. Shesterkin was very good in net the rest of the game, and ended up basically being a brick wall here for the Flyers last night. Ilya Sorokin confirmed in net. We do have a key injury for the Islanders. Noah Dobson out on the blue line. And we know he is definitely a significant piece of that Islander blue line. I think you can make an argument right now is the best one they've got. He's out. Siplikov still out for them as well. For the Philadelphia Flyers, with them being on a back-to-back, we saw Samuel Ersson last night, so you would expect Ivan Fedotov to get the victory here to get the start here in this one for the Philadelphia Flyers. I still think he's weaker than Ersson, quite honestly, even though Ersson has had some ups and downs since he's been back. I can't lay this price with the Islanders, but the thing that I don't like about Philly, and I was on Philly the last time they went to the to UBS Arena. It was just recently. It was 8 days ago. Flyers went to UBS Arena and won 5-3, beat the Islanders, and I was on them as an underdog in that game. What concerns me about this game, though, is Philadelphia's back-to-back record. It's bad. 1-7 this year on a back-to-back for the Philadelphia Flyers. I think that's enough to kind of keep me off. Islanders with the rest advantage have won a couple in a row. Usually that's the time you want to fade the Islanders, when they win a couple in a row, because long win streaks have been few and far between for them. But I just don't like that back-to-back record. That's going to keep me off the Flyers. Lean to the draw. I like this over, though, 5.5. I'll take an over at 5.5 because I don't trust the goaltending of Philly, with it expected to be Fedotov here in this game. And if you actually look at the last two head-to-head meetings, Islanders-Flyers, both of them did go over the total between these two teams. And like I said, on the back-to-back, I could see it getting a little sloppy here for Philadelphia, especially from their standpoint. So at 5.5, count me in with the over here and a sprinkle on the draw. What do you think here, Alex, for this one, Flyers-Islanders?
Yeah, I would only play the draw, like I said, if you can find above plus 300, which is hard to find. I'm seeing plus 310 at MGM, plus 300 on the nose at Bet Online. Everywhere else is sub 300. So draw more than likely won't make it on my card tonight. I do like the over by Fecta, but I would play it live. Like I said, you're going to lay in $1.20 or $1.25 now. Wait a couple minutes, you should be able to get both of these numbers at plus prices. So that's my outlook. Bet on going with the over by Fecta, but looking to bet it in game.
Yeah, and the reason for the over 5.5 too is I think Mikey even brought this up in our group chat that the Flyer games on these back-to-backs, man, they've been high scoring. I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason to it, but they've had so many high scoring games, more overs than not in these back-to-back situations.
The weaker the two goalies, more than
usually
most often. You know.
Yeah, there could be some truth to that. And still, for me, I've got Fedotov worse than Ersson, and that could play a role in that here tonight. But yeah, Flyers on a back-to-back. There's been a lot of high scoring games for them in that situation. Mikey, what do you think here? Philly, New York Islanders.
Yeah, I'm torn on the side. I really don't want to lay a price like this on the Islanders when it's going to be a toss-up, 50-50 type game. I feel like it's going to be 3-2 late. Flyers played last night, 6-1 lost at the Rangers. Isles, a full 3 days off. Last played on Monday. 5th game on this Isles homestand. They got 2 more to go. Like Ian just mentioned, they just played last week, these two teams. So we've been seeing a lot of that lately in the NHL. Islanders, they've been great at home. Islanders have been great at home against the division, 4-1-1 at home against the division, while the Flyers have been mediocre, 3-4 on the road against the division. Like you mentioned, Flyers brutal in back-to-backs, which they know, which Torts knows, which they'll address today. So here's the deal with the back-to-backs. 1-7, like Ian said, over under Flyers back-to-backs, 5-2-1. They're averaging 7.5 goals per game in Flyers games back-to-back. We're going to see Sorokin, obviously. So you know my concern in this one. Last week, these teams faced each other with a 5.5 total. We saw 8 goals scored, and now we're given a 5.5 again. It always scares me when I see that. Another concern is the Flyers just allowed 6 goals last night, which makes me think they'll attempt to tighten it up. I do feel this is going to be a 3-2 type game late. But the only way to go for me is the over 5.5 with how the Flyers are in back-to-back games. With Fedotov likely with his .879 save percentage and goals against average north of 3. He faced the Isles once I don't know if it was this year or last year. He only played 38 minutes, so either he came in relief or he got pulled, but he allowed 2 goals, which makes me think he came in for relief. Another concern I have with newish new Russian goalies in the NHL is they tend to show up and show off when the goalie on the other side of the ice is Russian. I've seen it time and time again when the young Russian netminders face the good veteran goalies like Vasi and things like that. I really want to back the Flyers at plus money because you know it's going to be a close game. They've just been so bad back to back. So the only way for me in this one is over 5.5 at $1.15.
All right, there you go. Over 5.5 for Mikey here. It's just the number, right? 6.5. Not as interested in an over. Now, at this number, though, I definitely would look that way. Morgan Frost, Noah Cates, you're right. That's some of the goal props. I've mentioned Mishkov, of course, has been solid for the Philadelphia Flyers of late, so I wouldn't talk anyone out of any goal props involving them. For the New York Islanders, obviously, you look at what they've got up front right now. They've got I'm still waiting on Anthony Duclair to get on a little bit of a run here with him now back in that second line spot, but hasn't exactly happened yet. But keep an eye on him. We're just waiting for him to really, get going before we're jumping in on goal props involving him. All right, let's move along to Vegas and Dallas. This is a great game tonight. This is ESPN. It's a ESPN Friday night game, national TV here tonight. We've got Dallas minus 140, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. I think it sets up well for Dallas. They catch Vegas off a back-to-back. They're off a home loss to Carolina the other night, 2-1, where, they had a bunch of chances. They tie the game, and then the air came out of the balloon, and Kotkaniemi made it 2-1, and that was a tough situation, for Dallas. And once they fell behind again 2-1, because they were coming on, they finally get the tying goal with Thomas Harley. And then to give up that 2-1 goal like seconds later, you could tell it was a kind of a deflator for the Dallas Stars. They end up losing 2-1. Only one time have the Dallas Stars lost 2 games straight at home this year. That is something worth noting. And that was Toronto and the New York Rangers earlier in the season. The only time they've lost 2 in a row this season on home ice. So we'll see how that plays out. I expect this to be, as Terry Ray Vegas alludes to in the chat, I think this could be an under. This has been a dead nuts under series, Golden Knights and Stars. You go back to the last 10 meetings, 7-3 to the under. They played once earlier this year. It was a 3-2 Vegas win at T-Mobile Arena on December the 6th. So the under definitely makes sense. I think it's going to be that kind of a game here tonight. Aiden Hill for Vegas after Samsonov got the start last night. Aiden Hill will be in net. And remember, this is going to be, I think, the first start for Aiden Hill in net for the Vegas Golden Knights. Since he was in net for that 5-4 loss to St. Louis at T-Mobile Arena, where after the game, Bruce Cassidy said, we need a little bit more from the goaltending position, was his exact quote. So I think Aiden Hill is going to want to put a better showing up there tonight. So the under is probably a decent look for the total here in this game. But from a spot perspective, Dallas at home off the loss to Carolina, I think they got a chance to bounce back and win. Minus 140. Again, keeping this bet light, but I am on Dallas here, minus 140 in this spot here tonight. Alex, what do you think here? A good one on ESPN here tonight. Golden Knights, Stars.
Yeah, and I had the same feeling as you did, looking at the under, obviously, just off of the series history. But then when I kind of look back at Vegas's record, second night of back-to-backs, there's been kind of some higher scoring affairs. So this is one where, like I said, might have a little piece of the under 6 pregame, but would look to go maybe a little heavier, hope for a goal early, try and grab a 7.5 at like minus 125, 130. I would feel a bit more comfortable. And even, like I said, laying that chalk, that's fine with that higher number. A little bit more comfort, a little more cushion. So I do like under. And like I said, small piece at under 6, but hoping for some early scoring and then try to go under for a full game at a bigger price.
Yeah, there's the stat from Landon there. Stars' last 11 games against the Golden Knights following a loss have gone under the total. So very interesting stat to point out there. What do you think here, Mikey? Vegas, Dallas on ESPN.
Yeah, a much-needed Vegas win last night in St. Louis. Kind of surprised that didn't go over the total. We had 3 goals after the first, and it barely pushed at the end with that empty net by Hurdle. You don't have to sell me on Vegas, especially when they're catching plus money. They've been pretty good back-to-back this season, 5-2, and we'll likely see Hill between the pipes, and he'll be looking to bounce back after a couple of subpar performances. He's been shaky lately, though, but against Dallas in his career, he's pretty solid, .923 save percentage, 2.5 goals against. Ottinger, He's between the pipes for Dallas. He's been great. 2 goals or less in 5 straight and 8 out of his last 10. So Otter's pretty much locked it down lately. This should be another tight game, so I do understand the love on the under on this one. I haven't solidified or made a decision on a side. I might just pass on this one.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. So, yeah, we got Ottinger obviously confirmed for Dallas. Still without Marchment and Sagan. And you can start to see with Dallas here as well. You know, they've scored 3 or less now. The 3 losses they've had in their last 4 games, other than the beat Detroit 4-1, they kind of jumped on them early. Remember, Detroit was on a back-to-back too. But really, other than that first period against Detroit, where they scored 3 goals and jumped on them early, they only scored, I think, an empty net goal after that in that game. And they only scored the 1 against Carolina, 3 against Colorado, and then the 1 against Montreal. So you can tell now the absences of Marchment and Sagan catching up a little bit, you know, and this is a team that's supposed to have pretty good depth up front, but there's no denying with the way Sagan was playing and Marchment, you know, to be honest as well. They're missing them a little bit right now, and it is hurting them just a little bit, you know, at the offensive end of the ice. As far as goal props, he did score last night for Vegas. Dorofeyev, we've talked about him quite a bit right now. Olofsson as well might be worth a look on that second line. For the Dallas Stars, Jason Robertson has certainly been carrying the load offensively. He's been great lately. Maverick Bourque maybe on the second line worth a look. And I've mentioned Evgeny Dodonov quite a bit. He's fit in nicely since he's been moved up to that top line. Maybe you look in that direction as well here tonight. All right, Tampa Bay, Chicago. Tampa Bay Lightning minus 240 road favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. You know what we're doing here. Not much to think about or talk about if you've been watching this show for the last several weeks. One of the great streaks going in the NHL, the Chicago Blackhawks with these first period overs. It just keeps on coming in. It came in for us on in their last game earlier this week against Carolina. They were up 2-0 after the first period. Now 13-1 to the first period over for the Chicago Blackhawks in their last 14 games. We're back on that tonight. This is over by Fecta. Once again, though, slanted toward the first period over. It's about an 80-20 split for me here. 80% on the first period over, 20% on the full game over, especially with the full game over being 6.5 and not 6. That's why I'm definitely gearing it more toward the first period over. That being said, for full game overs for this Chicago Blackhawks team, they've kind of trended that way in recent games. 7-2-1 to the full game over their last 10 games, and they've gone over the total in the full game 5-1 clip in their last 6 games for the Chicago Blackhawks. As far as this matchup, Tampa Bay rolls in here, you know, struggling on the road again. You know, 10-14 for the Tampa Bay Lightning on the road. Supposed to be a spot where you can step up and win, though. They have dominated Chicago to the tune of 9-1 in the last 10 meetings. Supposed to be a get-right spot for Tampa. They're the better team. Even with their road struggles, they're supposed to get it done here against Chicago. But no way at minus 240. I'm just not interested with the kind of just lethargic, let's be honest, subpar play we've seen from the Lightning on the road. It's those issues they had last year away from Amalie Arena are once again rearing their ugly head right now. Like I said, just 10-14 on the road this season. They have now dropped 3 straight on the road to Boston, Toronto, and Montreal. They are just 1-5 in their last 6 road games overall. Don't forget how they went out to California just recently. Actually, if you go back even further than that, you include that 0-3 on the California road trip for this Tampa Bay Lightning team. They are just 1-7 in their last 8 road games. It's not a team I'm looking to lay minus 240 with, but do I trust Chicago? You know, that makes this a very tough game for me from a side perspective, which is why I'm far more comfortable and at ease looking at the overs here, particularly first period over, which has cashed 13 of the last 14 Chicago games. Alex, what do you think here, Lightning, Blackhawks?
Well, I do like the over in the first period, of course, but I grabbed this early. I got minus 125 last night. Now you're seeing minus 140, 145, 150. So I'd have to recommend that you wait for that to hopefully drop down. Hopefully the scoreless 3 or 4 minutes and try and get that at a better price. I can't recommend that at minus even 145 with the 13-1 streak. That's still just an awfully high price. A little sprinkle on both teams to score in the first period. I would take a shot with that. Just a note, Tampa Bay practiced yesterday for the first time in the calendar year. because of going back with the holiday, they had their mandated 5-day break. So they've been traveling and playing games. They haven't had much time to practice. I wonder if that's going to be maybe something where they kind of just get to, settle in, rest. They had a whole night in Chicago already. This could be a game where the Lightning kind of, it could be a bit ugly. So I might lean with the Tampa Bay Lightning team total over, but I'm not going over 6.5. Like I said, I just can't trust the Hawks. This could be a spot where if they give up a couple of goals early, if this is 2-0 Lightning, then this game could get out of hand and it could easily be 4-1, 5-1, and go just under that 6.5. So, like I said, first period over, I already grabbed it. I would recommend grabbing that live. I do have a bargain bin player in this contest.
One option you can consider, and even I'm considering this because I sure as hell don't want the Tampa Bay Lightning on the money line here, but I do want to point something out. The last 5 trips to the Windy City of Chicago for this Lightning team, they put up 6, 7, 6, 4, and 4 goals scored. So they have easily gotten to 4 goals 5 straight times they've played in Chicago. And the team total is, I think, 3.5 around the minus 140 range on the Tampa Bay Lightning. So let me put it this way. If you like Tampa Bay, bet the team total over 3.5. Why lay minus 240? You can lay minus 140 on that team total.
Yeah.
When they've
If
scored
I'm
4 plus 5 straight times in Chicago.
If I'm going to lay 145 on anything pregame at this point now, it'd be Tampa team total over first period over.
Yeah, there you go. That would be the way to approach it. Arvid Soderblom in net for Chicago. We expect Vasilevsky in net here for the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, although it's not confirmed. They do play in Detroit tomorrow night against the Red Wings.
I'm seeing Johansson at goalie post. So everybody definitely check with that too, because more than likely it's Johansson tonight, I would think.
It could be. Yeah, they might say Vasi for the tougher team, which right now definitely would be the Detroit Red Wings. So we'll see. But yeah, it could be Johansson. There's conflicting listed goalies on multiple sites. But yeah, it wouldn't shock me either if it's Johansson tonight against Chicago and they put Vasi in tomorrow night against the Detroit Red Wings. Yeah, Brandon Hagel, against his old team, Chicago, back in Chicago. No argument there as far as a goal prop that might be worth a look there. On the Tampa Bay side of the equation. I like the way Nick Paul's played lately. Talked about him quite a bit. Maybe you can take a shot with Nick Paul for Tampa Bay here as well. You look at Blackhawks, the Trooper. He may not play tonight. He's a game-time decision. Jason Dickinson. So there could be a little shuffling going on as far as the lineup for the Chicago Blackhawks here tonight. One thing that's worth noting is he's going to, I think, when you look at it, I think start chipping in offensively at least a little bit. As long as they keep him up with Bedard and Bertuzzi, Frank Nazar is getting chances. He's shooting the puck quite a bit. We'll see if he's eventually going to cash in, but I've got my eye on the I'm waiting for that, that offensive key, the key to be on, or the key to unlock the offense, I should say, for Frank Nazar, because he's obviously playing with Bedard. You got to think it's going to come sooner rather than later if he stays up on that top line. What do you think here, Mikey, with this one, Tampa Bay, Chicago?
Yeah, gonna ride the first period over. It's obviously kind of pricey now at $1.45, so I think I'll settle for over 2 at plus 125, or like Alex said, just wait a few minutes and hopefully it'll be scoreless and bet it live. I do think Tampa gets it done. 2 straight losses. They do play tomorrow, so we'll see what Cooper does between the pipes tonight. Like everyone mentioned, Hagel, anytime goal plus 185 in some books, or you can settle for 2 points at plus 200. He has 6 points in 5 games against the Hawks, 4 goals and 2 assists. I'm debating on parlaying Tampa with another team we're about to talk about here next. But for right now, just the over 2 in the first period at plus 125.
It's one of the best streaks going. Why wouldn't you bet it at this point? 13-1 for Chicago, first period over, entering this game here tonight with the Lightning and the Blackhawks. All right, we've got our final game now of this Friday NHL slate. It is a rematch. These teams just played earlier this week in Utah, and now here they are going head-to-head once again tonight, this time in Winnipeg. We've got the Utah Hockey Club taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg minus 220, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Feels like a slam dunk Winnipeg spot. You just lost to this team in Utah. You're catching Utah on a back-to-back after a very satisfying 4-0 win against Minnesota, where the Wild are bringing back all their artillery last night. Kaprizov and Spurgeon back in the lineup. Didn't matter one bit. Utah still took care of business. But Utah's playing better. Utah's turning a corner, and you're not getting a premium here or a bargain with Winnipeg minus 225. So it feels like Winnipeg pays them back, gets the job done. The Utah's won 3 in a row: St. Louis, Winnipeg, and Minnesota. That was an impressive win for them last night. Give them credit. Vejmelka with the shutout. Like I said, even with Kaprizov and Spurgeon back, you go there, you shut down Minnesota. It's pretty impressive to be able to do that. Can they carry that over here is the question. And don't forget about Utah. I faded them a lot this year at Delta Center. The home record's not good. They're a respectable road team, 13-8-3 this year for the Utah Hockey Club away from home. So this is not, to me, one I'm interested in jumping on Winnipeg at this price. I'm not on Utah either, because certainly for Winnipeg, they are certainly looking to pay back the Utah Hockey Club after losing 5-2 to them back on Monday. Winnipeg did bounce back a couple nights ago, beating Colorado 3-2 in overtime. We'll see how they fare here in this one. There's really not much to say about this game other than 5-2 in Utah. Kind of get the feeling this could be maybe a little bit more tighter checking, lower scoring. We'll see how it goes, but the total here, 5.5. It looks like, as far as the goaltending matchup, it's Ingram and Hellebuck. Hellebuck was in net for that 5-2 loss to Utah, and he gets to play this team again. He's going to want to bounce back, play well. Ingram's played well, 2-1 since his return, and he's given up 2 goals, exactly 2 goals in all 3 starts since his return. So this is one where it's a Winnipeg spot. They're the better team still. Not at minus 220, though. Just not interested. I have a couple props I like, but pregame side or total, nothing for me. Alex, what do you think here? Final game, Utah, Winnipeg.
Yeah, this one's going to be a pass for me. I mean, this is one where if it was a 6, maybe I would lean toward an under. Like I said, Jets kind of play, a little tight hockey, but like I said, Utah, we've seen them play a little bit better on the road, like I said, than at home, but this is just one where nothing really stands out. So, like I said, big card tomorrow, not the best card today. So this is a game, just a pass for me.
That's not a bad way to go about it, Maddie. We talk about the team total overs when you don't like the price on the team on the money line. You could do that with Winnipeg here tonight, where you could actually bet Utah team total under 2.5. Trust Hellebuck and the Jets to keep them to 2 goals or less. And there's a chance of that. I could see that tonight here in this one, because if you look at Winnipeg, when they win, they beat Colorado 3-2. They beat Seattle 2-1. Like I'll just put it this way. You can go back further and look. I'll just take the last 5 Winnipeg wins. In their last 5 wins, they have given up 2 goals or less. There you go. If you like Winnipeg, there's an option for you. Utah team total under 2.5. Again, the last 5 Winnipeg wins, they've given up 2 goals or less. So that's a way to approach it, no doubt. Mikey, what do you think here? Utah, Winnipeg.
Yeah, like you said, credit Utah, 3-game win streak against decent teams, Blues, Jets, and Wild. They've struggled to find consistency. Last time they won 3 in a row was back in mid-December. But they haven't been great in back-to-backs this year, 2-4. I believe the over/under is 0-4-2. There were a couple of 6s, and that's what I have as pushes. So over/unders are 0-4-2. Utah back-to-backs. Like you said, a bit of a revenge spot for the Jets. Unfortunately, they're up there in price, so I can't really lay the puck line or reg. Best case scenario, Utah strikes first, and we can grab the Jets live, which I could possibly see happening. But only thing I'm considering here is possibly parlaying them with the Jets with Tampa, and you can get that at plus 110 right now, but I haven't locked anything in this one.
Someone, I think it was Terry Ray Vegas that mentioned Logan. Yeah, that's the Utah prop I like. It's Logan Cooley, no doubt. He's been obviously rock solid for the Utah Hockey Club. No question about that. Gabe Velarde, of course, has been really good for the Winnipeg Jets. He's got good chemistry going up there on the top line with Scheifele and Connor. And by the way, one thing to point out for the Winnipeg Jets, they do have a couple of key absences right now. Nikolai Ehlers, game time decision with an illness. So we'll see if he suits up. And there is a flu bug going through the Jets. It's another thing to be mindful of here tonight for this game, and it's affected Nick Ehlers. He may not go. Meanwhile, the captain, Adam Lowry, injured reserve week to week. Obviously, he was involved in a collision there in the Utah game a few nights ago. and ended up leaving that game due to injury. And now it looks like he missed the Colorado game, and he'll be out for, looks like maybe a week or two. So no captain for the Winnipeg Jets right now. So like I said, a couple of key absences for Winnipeg. We'll see how they manage that moving forward. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. We appreciate it very much. And make sure you check out, of course, the Patreon page and sign up right now. Patreon.com/IceGuys. And again, if you're going to sign up in the next 5 days, you've got the chance to take advantage of our special Patreon membership 50% off discount promo code, which is available now through to Wednesday at midnight. We're giving you this opportunity with our Tuesday night Patreon exclusive live betcast on the way. To get on board, try it out. You get sides, totals, player props, and our betting card posted each and every day. Goalie charts, totals charts, bonus content, player suite, interviews. We've got a few more of them coming up during the season that will be posted on the Patreon page. And most importantly, especially for the purposes of this Tuesday night, you will have access to watch the Patreon exclusive live betcast and join us on the stream for that betcast as well. Only available to Patreon members. So make sure, if you haven't signed up as a Patreon member yet, take advantage now through Wednesday of the 50% off Patreon membership discount by signing up at patreon.com/IceGuys. Get 50% off your subscription, $10 per month down to $5 per month. And you can do so by using the promo code BETCAST50. That's BETCAST50.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got all new merch. We've got a new look in the store as well, so definitely check that out. Also, you can save 15% off. Click on the redeem button at the front of the page, and the price will be taken out at checkout. That's 15% off all new merch. That's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
New gear, new merch, and 15% off. Doesn't get much better than that. Check it out at the Ice Guys store. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Only till I fall asleep. Demon, devil, monster, scream. Only till I fall asleep.
All right, make sure you check out the store. How good does that "can't find him with a telescope" shirt look? I mean, my goodness. Isn't that great stuff right there? One of my favorite slogans on the show. No doubt. All great gear, new merch, new gear. Make sure you check that out at the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. And of course, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, it is Bargain Bin Special of the night time. 4 games on this Friday to choose from. Alex, what do you like for the Bargain Bin Special tonight?
All right, heading to 1901 West Madison, hoping that we can get some goals from one Frank Nazar. As you mentioned, the Hawks have him on the top line. Got him at a good price, plus 500 at Caesars. I see plus 470 at a couple other shops, so definitely shop around, grab the best price. I think he could take advantage of that being on that top line and get a goal here. So Frank Nazar, plus 500, anytime goal scorer, my Friday bargain bin special.
Yep, thinking what I was thinking. Yeah, Frank Nazar, plus 500 Chicago. He's going to score eventually. You keep playing with CB on that top line, you're going to eventually find the back of the net. Hopefully tonight's the night for Frank Nazar, plus 500 for the Chicago Blackhawks. For Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. Mikey, what do you got for us for the bargain bin?
Going to Winnipeg, Nino Niederreiter, anytime goal, plus 300. 3 goals in 2 games against Utah this season. He is on the third line, PP2. So anytime goal, plus 300. Or if you're feeling lucky, you can do 2+ points at plus 600.
All right, there we go. A little Nino time. Nino Niederreiter for the Winnipeg Jets, plus 300 against the Utah Hockey Club for Mikey with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night for this card, it's not a huge, awesome card, necessarily as far as bargain bin special for tonight. So I'm going to end up going with, let me just make sure that see if the price is bargain bin worthy. Oh, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it's someone that I've had some success with in the past, playing the Islanders tonight. We're going to go back to the Morgan Frostwell for Philadelphia, plus 425. Proline Plus, the best price out there right now. He certainly had a solid month for this team. We'll see if he can find the back of the net here tonight against the New York Islanders. But I like the price. Morgan Frost, plus 425 for Philadelphia for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, it's a limited card, but we're going to go with that first period over in Philly and the Islanders. Like I said, I do like it to play a little bit small now, and I'll add a little bit more in-game at plus price, but minus 120. That's the best nip on the board right now as far as the side or total goes, in my opinion. So we'll go Philly and the Isles, first period over is my Friday best bet.
There you go. Flyers Islanders, first period over, 1.5. Right now, you can get that at minus 120. That'll be the best bet for Alex B. Smith. Mikey, best bet. What do you like?
Yeah, we'll stay with this Flyers Isles game, but I'm doing full game over 5.5. Philly, like I said, back-to-back games, averaging 7.5 goals per game. Isles home games over under versus the division, 5-1 to the over. Flyers road games over under versus the division, 6-2 to the over. So full game over 5.5. Flyers Isles.
All right, there we go. Flyers Islanders over 5.5 for Mikey with his best bet. And my best bet, it's the clear best bet, so we're using it. It's the best streak going, 13-1, first period over. Chicago Blackhawks. Back to the well we go. We're taking Tampa Bay, Chicago. First period over, 1.5. Price is up there, minus 140. But we like it. You can always wait a couple minutes into the first period if you want to get a better price on it, but we'll recommend it pregame here. Tampa Bay, Chicago, over 1.5, minus 140, first period for my Friday best bet. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat. Appreciate it. Hit the like button on the way out. And one last time, get on that promo code, BETCAST50, BETCAST50. Make sure you're there with us as a Patreon member. Tuesday, January 28th for our live BetCast. The promo discount, 50% off Patreon membership with BetCast50 as the promo code is available until Wednesday at midnight. So make sure you take advantage of it. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Mikey, me and Cameron, have a great Friday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you again tomorrow on Saturday for another edition of the Ice Guys.